Hello and welcome back to my podcast. Now today I am very excited to bring you James Langton. And now James is the founder of datahelp.com. And his story is back in 2019, he was one of Tinder's most swiped men on the platform. And he featured in Cosmopolitan magazine, the Daily Mail, Metro and the Sun newspaper, amongst other places. So as you can tell, he is one of the most experienced experts to be able to help you when it comes to all kinds of finding love on dating apps. And Data Help is a dating app profile enhancement service. I'm sure we'll tell you all about this during the course of our podcast. So James, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
You are very welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here. And tell me about yourself. What got you into the whole thing and how did you become one of Tinder's most swiped men?
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is a pretty wild story, to be honest with you. I was just at work one day and I received an email just from Tinder, and it said, "Hey, you're one of the most right swipe people on the platform." So obviously, when I first received this email, I thought it was some kind of scam, and I actually copied and pasted the email, found somebody who worked on Tinder on LinkedIn, and just said, "Hey, I've just received this email." And the girl said, no, that was like one of my colleagues that actually sent that. And then obviously the email address was, I can't remember the exact name, but it was at tinder.com. So I was like, wow, this is actually sort of legit. So I responded to it, say, hey, yep, this would be something I'll be interested in, working with you on this campaign. And they scheduled in a phone call to speak to me just about my current experiences on Tinder, what kind of dates I've had, just to find out a little bit more about me. And I just started the job that I was at about 2 weeks before. And the only time they could call me was almost in work time, obviously, because business hours. So I was downstairs in the office having what sounded like an interview, like almost like a job interview with Tinder. And then so they sent me some more information on, what the whole thing was, previous campaigns that they've done. So I said, yeah, I'd really like to sort of be involved with it. And even at this point, I was still a little bit apprehensive about it. I was thinking, is this real? Are they going to ask me for my credit card details or something? But no, they said, oh, come down to London next month, and we'll book you, a taxi and train tickets and food and whatnot. So I remember receiving the online tickets for the train. And I was like, wow, this is actually real. So I got the train down to London. I think it was in Shoreditch where I actually went for the photo shoot. So as soon as I got there, they're really nice. The guys from Tinder, they greeted me really well, really friendly bunch of people. And then I got to meet all of the guys that worked at Cosmopolitan, because obviously this was a Cosmopolitan and Tinder sort of collaboration. And then obviously there was the other Tinder top 30 people there. But obviously there was 15 guys and 15 girls. But it was really strange because in the actual Cosmopolitan photo shoot, there's a couple of people who were next to me in the photographs who I've never met. They had us come in at like 5 or 10 at a time. So when they obviously took the photos of us, they've photoshopped the whole thing together. All of the people actually turned up to the studio, but just so it was like more aesthetically pleasing or something in the photographs, they actually sort of like edited it a little bit, which I thought was really funny, because people were saying to me, oh, and did you get on with this person? And I was like, I've actually never met that person. So it was a little bit strange seeing people next to me in the magazine who I'd never actually met. They all went to the same shoot. So yeah, after we did the photo shoot, we had to keep really silent about it. We signed like an NDA and everything, just to say that we wouldn't, be telling anybody about what was happening. And then I think it was September the 4th, 2019 when it came out. It literally sort of, the clock struck midnight, and then it was on everything. It was on the Daily Mail. It was on the Sun. It was on Evening Standard, Metro, my local newspaper. Just about every single major UK sort of news platform picked up on it. I think even Lad Bible as well did. Like some of my friends were tagging me on, oh, you're on Lad Bible and stuff. So when this came out, things got pretty big pretty quick. I got contacted by quite a few radio stations as well. So I did Capital Radio, BBC radio and my local radio station. And it was really interesting. People asking me about, my top dating tips and, and things like that. And then after that, I got contacted by ITV, and they said, "Oh, we want you to be on a TV program." And I was like, "Oh no, I bet this is Love Island or something." And then they called me back and said, "Hey, we really want you to be on Love Island." And I even went as far as going down to London for one of the interviews. And I thought, I don't really want to do this. This is not my kind of thing, but I'll just see. And I had an interview with them, and they said, "Yeah, we'd really like you for the program." And it was really funny because I had a flight booked to Australia for November the 14th, and they wanted me on November the 16th. And I was a little bit, sort of getting a little bit tired of the UK at that time. I just wanted a bit of a change in life, kind of thing. So I went to Australia instead of doing the program. And when I was in Australia, that was when I was, moving from hostel to hostel, and that's kind of when I built Data Help. Really, I worked on building the website while I was out there, and initially I was, just dealing with clients, almost not far off free, just getting people's feedback, opinions, that kind of thing. Because I come from a photographic background, but also I'm a digital marketer, and I also enjoy, sort of creative writing. So it's like I kind of, understand how the algorithms and workflows of a dating app work, and then also match this with, getting my own profile to the, the top of Tinder. It was, it's really strange. It's almost like a business that's just almost fallen into my lap with all of the things that I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy talking to people and helping them as well. So for me, it's kind of hits all the, the major factors of things I enjoy. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I mean, I'm fairly new to the business, since sort of November, December 2019, but things have grown pretty quick, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's the most important thing when it comes to a business. You've got to really enjoy it, and then it's not like a job, is it? It's a bit of fun, and you get to help people, which is the best thing in this industry. There's a lot of people out there that need our help, especially when it comes to dating apps. So I think you've got a great little niche there, and people will definitely need your services. Are you still using the apps yourself?
Yes, I am indeed. It's really funny because people say, "Well, if you were the most, right swiped on Tinder, how come you're still single?" So obviously, me being single, one of the reasons for it is when I went traveling, I was kind of moving from, place to place. And then as soon as I came back, we went into lockdown for coronavirus the day after. So, I mean, I haven't really been out that much or meeting that many people. So, but yeah, I'm still active on the apps. The main ones that I'm really using quite regularly is obviously still Tinder, not as much, but Hinge is sort of my favorite one at the minute. And then obviously with doing what I'm doing, I'm actually downloading quite a few and finding out about some of these new sort of niche apps. There's some really interesting stuff, more based around video than actual written chat. So yeah, but in answer to the question, yep, I'm still using dating apps.
That's good. At least you can keep with the times and see what their developments are. And like you said, video is very, very common now. All the apps are trying to get video on there. Lots of new apps are appearing left, right and centre that have video as the main focus. And people just aren't as nervous about using that as they were before. So that's a really good thing to do. I'm intrigued to know, what does your profile have on Tinder that makes you so swipeable? What did you do to make that so special? And what can our listeners learn to improve their own?
So this is actually one of the questions that I get asked the most. People will say, "Well, what's on your Tinder profile?" And I have to be really careful because I don't actually give out exactly what's written on my profile. I'll tell you the structure. The reason why I don't actually say my written profile word for word is because I don't want people to be using it as their own when it's obviously about me. But I can tell you what is on the profile.
That would be really useful to do that. I understand what you mean. When I used to have a dating profile years and years ago on Match.com, it was very, very popular. And people have always asked me to copy the text. And what is the point of doing that? That was based around me, and everyone's unique. You can't just copy someone else's profile. It has to be about you, because you're the product that you're advertising. So James, you've got one of the most popular profiles on Tinder. So what can our listeners learn from you to help them write the perfect profile?
So it's pretty simple. It actually just works on a 4-step process. Initially, you need the initial intro and also your hobbies and interests, and then something slightly controversial on the profile as a good opening topic.
So when you say controversial, can you give me an example of that? How controversial should you be? And can you give us some examples?
Yes. So particularly on my profile, I actually have that it says I've never watched The Lion King. And the reason why I have this is because it's true. And you would not believe how many people I get messaging me, asking me why I've never watched The Lion King. And it's even got to the point now where I've refused to watch it because The Lion King can never be as good as how shocked people are to never see that I have never watched it. So yeah, you want something a little bit not too sort of out there and brash, but just something just controversial enough that it's going to kickstart an opinion and a conversation.
I absolutely agree. I think it's very important to have lots of conversational hooks in your profile to make it really easy for somebody to start a conversation with you. So you should ask questions, you should make statements, say things that are a bit out of the norm just to start the conversation. It makes it so much easier to get these people to contact you. Now, James, obviously the most important thing when you are creating your profile is to make sure you've got some really, really good photographs. If you haven't got them, no one's ever going to see your profile because they'll be swiping away and just not interested. So what tips do you have from your own profile that you could give our listeners to help them make sure they have the best photographs possible?
So the top tip that I would actually give is just a smile. It sounds so obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people have photos of them frowning or just not looking at the camera and just in general not smiling. People are naturally attracted to a smile, so take your sunglasses and hat off and look at the camera and smile. That's probably one of my best tips. And then also when it comes to your other photos, you want to almost tell a story. So you want to find photos of you, I don't know, if you're into mountain biking or rock climbing or reading, you need to have some kind of photos of you doing these activities. I always recommend, because you're giving a bit of an insight into your life, and you find that you have so much data about yourself purely because you've lived your own life. But to an outsider, they only have information about you from what you put on your dating app. So it's almost worth writing down a bit of a list of your hobbies and interests so that you can base your photos around those things. And if you do have those kind of shots where you're happy with your friends enjoying yourself doing things you enjoy, people are going to pick up on that and they're going to want to be part of your lifestyle, really.
Now, James, you showed me secretly your main picture. And while I can't really tell everyone what that's about, that's your personal private picture, I can't help but notice you've got a puppy in there. Now, I've always believed that puppies and animals get so much more engagement because women just can't resist the cuteness. In fact, I remember seeing years ago one of the most popular people on dating apps had a Photoshop picture of him with a puppy jumping out of a burning building. And that was the most popular picture of all time. So what are your thoughts on animals? What's your thought process?
First of all, I really want to see that photo of can you find it for me another day? I really want to see it.
I will find it and I'll email it to you when I see it.
Perfect. Yeah, so on my profile, my main photo, which is actually the one that was featured in all the magazines and stuff, is actually me sitting cuddling a puppy on the sofa. I'm smiling, making direct eye contact as well. Not only that, on my other photos, I've actually got me kind of, I wouldn't say cuddling, but almost like standing with a cow, which is pretty cool. And this is actually a genuine interaction with a cow. Me and my friend were walking by a field, and this cow just kind of came up to us and wanted to be petted, kind of like a dog. And you will not believe the amount of people that I get asking me questions about this cow. And most of the time it's, can you take me to go and see this cow? I really want to meet it. And my biggest concern is that I'm not sure whether it was a dairy cow or it was a cow, for meat. So I don't really know whether this cow still exists, but I'd like to think it does.
I feel we should do some sort of shout out to the cow. If anyone knows this cow, get them to come forwards. We can arrange another date for you. That'd be really cool. I think that animals are absolutely amazing things to have in pictures. It shows what you like in life and it shows your hobbies. And I've never seen a cow before, but I've seen plenty of fish. Now, what is it with guys and holding giant fish? Have you seen those pictures?
I would say an absolute 100% certainty of leaving photos of yourself with a fish out. It's not it's not a good look. So anything that's cute and cuddly, so hamsters, puppies, cows, anything, donkeys, anything, but please guys, no fish.
What about baby lions? They're very topical thanks to Tiger King and those sort of things now. Obviously, you didn't like The Lion King. You haven't seen The Lion King. But I've seen so many pictures again. People have gone on holiday somewhere, maybe to Spain or India, and they're taking pictures of them holding little baby lions. Is that okay? Is that cute, or is it too far?
I would actually leave those out because there's a lot of controversy around people going to the Philippines and whatnot and actually having photos with baby lions. Some people think they're drugged. Or it's kind of animal abuse. So I'd actually leave those out, to be honest with you. But anything cute like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, that's good to go.
Brilliant. I completely agree with you there. If you've got something you can use as a prop to start conversations, an animal or otherwise, then definitely do use it. Or if you've got a favourite hobby, then demonstrate that in the pictures, or a fitness activity. What about having pictures of you with sunglasses on? Do you agree with that? Because so many people seem to have sunglasses or hats on or badly taken pictures. Are they okay?
I think when you have an app with maybe 10 or 12 photos, one of you with a pair of sunglasses or a hat on out in nature, that's fine. But the problem is when you have guys with their main photo with sunglasses and a hat on, people just can't see you. And it doesn't give that mysterious vibe. It just gives off a vibe that you haven't really paid that much attention to your profile. And people aren't going to right swipe on you because they don't know what you look like.
When it comes to using these apps, once you get an engagement, once someone swipes and you get a match, how do you start a conversation with somebody other than using hi to get them to write back?
Oh, wow. So this is one I hear about so much. The biggest problem is, I think, with guys is they go straight in for hi, you okay? And then all they receive back is, yeah, good, thanks, you. And then you've almost made small talk with somebody and immediately you've lost their interest. So a good tip that I like to do is, even if you do have to get a pen and paper out, just to write some bullet point lists about the person's profile, that's absolutely fine. All you're looking to do is find one thing about their entire profile that you really like. So it could be something like they're wearing an amazing dress for a fantastic event, or they've gone to a really beautiful beach, or you guys have a hobby that you both have in common. You're just trying to find that one thing. And then what you want to do is address that person about this subject. So you could say, hey, that beach in your third photo looks amazing. Whereabouts was it taken? I've recently visited a beach similar. And that's just the kind of opening thing that you want. And in general, people are really interested when somebody pays interest in them. And you've got to remember as well, on a dating app, it's not quite real life. So when you message somebody, you're not a real person to that person. You're just a profile on a dating app. So if you do want to break through to the actual getting to know somebody, you've got to pay interest in people. It's almost, you've got to do it.
Some guys do say to me that I don't want to make an effort writing a message because nobody ever writes back anyway. What is the point in being creative? And the secret is you have to be creative. You have to make an effort. Otherwise, no one's going to notice you. On some of these apps like Tinder, there's actually 9 men for every woman on there. But I know that Hinge is an app that I also recommend quite a lot to my clients who are having very, very good success. And you mentioned that earlier, James, and Hinge is up and coming. It's very, very popular. The quality of profile seems to be higher. But that's all about engagement. So they will ask you ice-breaking questions as part of the profile, and you can make comments on people's pictures. So I actually really do like that app for that purpose. And you've got a higher chance of getting a result on there. Have you been sent some really crazy messages by women?
Okay, so just go back to your point on Hinge. I think Hinge is absolutely fantastic as well. I use it personally. It's my favorite app at the minute, even over Tinder, Bumble, just about everything. So completely agree with you there. But when it comes to being sent crazy messages on dating apps, I've had a few, and it's a lot of the time it's people see that I was the Tinder top 30. So when the Tinder article came out, you could actually match with me. So the way you would do it is go on to I think it was gotinder.com/James Langton. And then it went direct to my profile. I think I had about 9,000 in the week after the Tinder article came out.
9,000?
Yeah, pretty much. And it was about 9,340, I think it was. When I was on the radio with it, they actually asked me about it live on air. And I should have put more thought into it because I think it made me sound a bit of an idiot. But no, when the whole Tinder thing came out, nearly every message I was getting was, "Hey, I saw you in the Tinder article." And it was a really strange experience because people knew quite a lot about me through reading the interviews that I'd done and also the Tinder article, but I didn't know anything about them. So it was a bit of a weird experience for a while.
How many dates did you have from that 9,300?
So sadly, I didn't get as many as people would think, purely because I went away traveling not that long after. And then when you're traveling, you're going from place to place. And it's really strange because dating is not at the forefront of your mind when you're seeing all these amazing places. And yes, I did have quite a few dates while I was out there, but I think I had about six after the Tinder article. And as well, I was really busy with my work and trying to, shut things down before I went traveling. So I maybe wasn't in the right sort of place to be going on a date every night or something. But yeah, I went on about 6 or 7, I'd say.
That's not bad. But I suppose it's about filtering and how busy you are, making it a priority. And it wasn't a priority to you at that time. But for many guys, dating is a priority. And they're looking now to use these apps more extensively. What sort of person will come to you? Is it a man? Is it a woman? What sort of demographic comes to you in terms of looking for your help?
So the kind of guys that come to me are usually male age, I'd say about 24 to about 30. And they've been on the apps for quite some time and they're not really getting that much success with it. And a lot of the time, this just comes down to how they're using the apps and what content they're actually putting on the app. When people come to me and they're wanting help with dating apps, the first thing they usually say is they want more matches. And then when I actually break it down and chip into why they want more matches, it's because they're not getting any dates and because they're just not really getting any good interactions. And 90% of the problem here is their profile. It's their profile, and the other 10% is their opening message. They're just going straight in for a, hey, you okay? So a lot of the time, more matches isn't actually the best way to solve the problem. It's a case of improving your profile and actually knowing how to properly structure a message when you're messaging somebody.
Okay, I agree with you. But then what happens next? If they get a date, how far do you go with your help? Do you advise them what to say on the date, how to act, or do you just leave them to it at that stage?
So I focus more on the apps themselves. So I'll show somebody how to improve their profile in the way of their bio and photos, but I can also offer coaching via Zoom, whether it be somebody wants to talk about how to speak to somebody or how to ask somebody on a date, or even how to take somebody off application so they can talk to them on another platform. But when it actually comes down to the actual dating, I don't get involved with that. I'm not really experienced enough for that. I'm more of a dating app expert, but the actual dating side of things, I leave that to everybody else.
Fair enough. There's still room for us then. Now, you mentioned going on to another application, like maybe WhatsApp or those sort of things. I guess you mean that.
Yeah, so I actually think Instagram is one of the best off-app platforms to go on, purely because it just shows that you're a genuine person. So let's say if you take somebody on Instagram and they go down to the bottom of your profile and they see that you've been an active user since 2016, you're posting consistently every few weeks, and you've got photos of you with your family and friends. It just brings together that authenticity side of your profile and also who you are as a person. So I actually think Instagram is a fantastic app to go off application with after a dating app. You can also direct message people on Instagram, but at the same time, WhatsApp's also great.
See, I would be inclined to disagree with you. Not for your market. If your market's under 30, fair enough. But for many people, they're on the app and it's anonymous and they're messaging away. I always encourage people to come off the phone as soon as you can and to have a real conversation. Now, I know millennials don't like to do that particularly nowadays, but that is the best way to get on with it. Do you like the sound of them? Do you want to meet them? There's no faffing around going on Instagram and going off DMing them and WhatsApping them and all the rest of it and stalking them on Facebook. But I guess that is what people do nowadays. But that, to me, is also an obstacle because you're just delaying the fact that you may or may not get on with them. So how much effort do you really put into that before you do? Do you speak to people on the phone before you go for a date, or do you just get on with it?
Well, I always advise my clients to give somebody a call, but then maybe even FaceTime the next day. And you're so right with that. You definitely want to make sure that you guys click, because there's nothing worse than speaking to somebody on a dating app, meeting them, and then in the first 10 seconds thinking, yep, I've made a mistake here. I don't actually really like this person. And it's more of a way of safety as well. It's great to have a chat with somebody over the phone, see what kind of, almost vibe that they're giving off and for you to give them a chance to get to know you a little bit. So I definitely would recommend speaking to people on the phone or even FaceTime. But obviously with this whole coronavirus thing, people are so much more used to going on Zoom and being videoed and, just chatting to people over video chat. So maybe we'll even notice a little bit of a change in the next sort of, coming year with consumer habits of dating apps, people actually wanting to video chat people more than they did, because they do feel a lot more comfortable with, talking to people on video.
Well, that was my last question for you, funnily enough, which is about what do you think the next big thing in terms of dating will be regarding the future? Obviously, video dating is very, very popular. What do you think is coming next?
Well, it's kind of important to think about what are the actual problems of dating apps. So at the minute, people find that they're getting ghosted. They're also not having the right engagements that ever lead to dates. So I actually think there'll be a way. I mean, this is just thinking out loud right now, but nearly all of it, I feel, in the future will be video based. But then you'll also have the opportunity to arrange a date on app with somebody. So it will link to a local restaurant that's halfway or something. And it also adds the element of safety, because you also know the geographical location of where that person is going to be. So that's a lot safer. But yeah, I definitely think the future of dating is video. And it's just a lot more personal, and there's obviously less sort of catfishes or people that are not interested on it. But I definitely do think in the future they're going to try and raise the barrier of entry to dating apps, because if you think of something like Tinder, you can create a profile, add a couple of photos within 2 or 3 minutes, and you find a lot of people on the app aren't actually interested in dating. It's almost a vanity thing. So I do think that's going to disappear in some time. And going back to Hinge, they're fantastic. The sign up barrier is quite high. It takes sort of 15-20 minutes to even get on the app, through writing all of your information, which I think is fantastic, because you have higher engaging users who are actually wanting to date rather than just see who finds them attractive, or you've got a lot more engaging users. So I definitely think Hinge is definitely one to watch what they're going to be doing, and I'm pretty sure they've actually started dabbling in video chatting as well onto the app. So I do think they're going to be one to watch, but it'll be interesting to see how the other apps evolve as well.
I think they have introduced the video dating now. And you're right, if it takes someone a little while to think about their profile and they're forced to be creative, that's going to stop a lot of time wasters and scammers from signing up in the first place. If they've invested in the process, they're more likely to engage and to actually use it properly. Now, I've got some very, very quick tips for everybody regarding dating apps, my 6 quick tips. I'm just going to read through them very quickly. And then, James, any last comments you've got on them, that would be amazing. And number 1 is, if you're using the dating apps, just stick to 1 or 2 at a time. Don't download 10 different apps and try and use them all at the same time, because you're going to get very confused and overwhelmed. It's just a waste of time. Number 2, try and accelerate quickly. I mentioned this before, but don't just have pen pals on these apps. Get to know them properly and then speak to them on the telephone. And if you like them, have a virtual date or a real life date with them right away. Number 3, mix things up. If your profile isn't working and your pictures aren't working, don't be afraid to change it. Get someone like James to help you to change what you've got there and hopefully see better success. Now, if you are talking to somebody and it's going well, don't change your profile or photographs too much, or you might lose the chance you've got there and confuse them. Number 4, don't be generic. So many profiles are just boring, generic things saying, I like to go out, I like to go in. Very, very generic. If you're boring and average, you'll get average results. Number 5, please don't waste people's time. If you're only using it for an ego boost or just to see how many dates you can get, then please don't use it. You're leading people on, and you could set them free to meet somebody else. And number 6, get creative with the photographs. Don't be afraid to try different weird things. The more weird and wonderful things you can do, the more people are going to notice you and the more interactions you're going to get. James, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, they all sound fantastic. But the one thing I would say is definitely just get as many photos as you possibly can. I mean, I come from a photographic background. So when I used to, photograph weddings, I would sometimes have 200 or 300 shots in the space of a couple of minutes. And when people are taking photos for dating apps, they'll almost try and structure the photos, right, I need these kind of shots. But you just need to always constantly be taking photos, getting people to take photos. You're doing the activities you enjoy, the places you enjoy going. And the more content you have, the more opportunities you have for a great shot. And when you do go out to get those photos, get somebody to take 10 or 20 at that one location at the same time, not just one photo and that's done, because you could be sort of false smiling or or blinking or something. So you just need more. The more content you can get, the better.
Absolutely agree with you. So many clients come to me and they can't find any good pictures on their phone. If you're always taking them, you're always going to have something you can use. James, thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful. I'm sure my listeners will be onto your website as soon as possible. Can you just remind them, please, what your website is and how they can get hold of you?
Sure. So my website is www.datahelp.com, and that is spelled DATER instead of DATA. And I offer the profile enhancement service for any kind of dating apps: Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, eHarmony, Match, just about anything. What I do is I actually select your photos and retouch them for you. And then I also write you a new bio, and I also offer Zoom coaching for dating apps.
Fantastic. Well, James, thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a feeling we're going to be seeing articles coming out towards the end of this year with you being one of the top profiles on Hinge. So I'm sure they'll be in touch with you soon to campaign that one. So thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.